let's talk about some of the benefits and challenges associated with business intelligence. On this slide, a good model of BI benefits is shown as reduced action time. Okay, as we talked about earlier, that business intelligence is about turning data into action, right? So the value of BI is really to turn data into action and do that quickly compared to the way that it's done before. Okay, so in the past, before BI, for instance, when we have certain business transactions, okay, whether they are sales or purchases or some accounting transactions, after transactions are occur and transaction data are captured, they have to be made available for analysis later on. Okay, so it takes time to make data available, and it takes time to analyze the data, and it takes time for the manager or the analyst to make decisions based on the data. Okay, and once the decision is made, then some kind of action can be implemented to take advantage of the data that we gathered before. Okay, so it takes a lot of time from the time that a transaction occurs to an action that is taken. Okay, and if we look at the y-axis, the value of action taken is the greatest as soon as the transaction occurs. Okay, but because all the things take time, the value gradually is reduced when we get to the actual implementation time. Okay, and because in the diagram, the implementation time is toward the lower right hand corner. Therefore, you have lost a lot of the value that can be generated. Okay, so that brings us to the value of BI, that is to reduce the action time to nearly real time. Okay, in other words, if implemented properly, BI can compress the time it takes from the transaction that occurs to the time that is an action is actually implemented. Okay, so in other words, we can move the actions along the curve upward, so that now the implementation time is about in the middle of the diagram as opposed to the lower right hand corner. Okay, so this way you can save a lot of the business value from the use of BI. Other benefits of BI, you can read about them yourself. They are pretty self-explanatory. Bottom line, companies have reported increased revenues, decreased costs, more customer satisfaction, and so on. Okay. On the other hand, there are also challenges, okay, that a company would need to overcome in order to reap the benefits. The first challenge is data quality. Okay, quality is important in any information systems. Some of you probably heard about before, garbage in and garbage out. So the value that we can get from an information system really depends on the quality of data that is going in, which is true for any information system, but especially true for BI or data warehouse, because data warehouse, as we talked about before, integrates data from different sources. Okay, so if any of the source quality there is in question, then you're going to not be able to get the correct data out of a data warehouse. Another challenge is again, because the data warehouse is integrated, so people in different areas may have different terminology. So the same term or words may mean different things in different areas. Okay, I have a fine example from North Korea to illustrate the point. Okay, which is kind of timely. Some of you remember the story about Kim Jong-un and his uncle, for instance. Okay, but in a regular business, we have also some common questions as shown in the slide here, and I'm sure some of you can also find examples from your company or the company that you have read about regarding the challenge that needs to be overcome when you have people working from different areas with different backgrounds, different terminology, and so on. Another challenge is the tool that we are using. Okay, it has to be very easy to use, has to be intuitive, but it has to be also comprehensive and powerful at the same time. Okay, and we'll talk about some of the tools from SAP in this course, and hopefully you will find them meet the challenge that we talked about here. The final challenge or potential problems associated with BI: no clear project scope, lack of top management support, or the appropriate IT infrastructure. Some of the problems, are associated with other types of enterprise systems, such as ERP and so on. But they are all. Some apply to BI specifically. Okay, so those are the potential problems related to BI systems that a company should be aware of before they can embark on the BI endeavor.